Good.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Marine Environmental Education Center at the Carpenter House, or we like to call it the MEEC. Happy Earth Day. It is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, my favorite day of the year. Earth Day was started back on April 22nd, 1970. It had over 20 million Americans participate, and if we were to go back in time, that's about 10% of the population at the time. And the reason why Earth Day happened, it was just to raise awareness about pollution and just to appreciate all the magical things that this planet has to offer. One of the big things that sparked the creation of Earth Day was the book Silent Spring, which was written by Rachel Carlson back in 19 to all of the pollution. A lot of the air pollution, land pollution, water pollution, a lot of things that companies were doing, and there was no regulation really happening, and it wasn't affecting Americans directly, so we were just unaware of it. So that book really kind of helped bring to light the pollution issues that we were facing and are still kind of facing today. And then just what was going on in the time during the 1960s, just a lot of rebellion with the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, things like that. It was just kind of the during the 60s, plus the fact that the earth was struggling. It just kind of worked out perfectly that Earth Day was created. So now Earth Day, it's been back in 1990, and now almost 195 countries participate and the world. But there are still ways to be involved and to help. Like this, if you were to go to the Earth Day 2020 website, they actually have, based on where you are in the country, different live streams, virtual things, other things that you could be a part of if you just type in your location. We are located in Hollywood, Florida, and there were quite a few going on in Miami with other organizations, Fort Lauderdale, and then even up in West Palm, and then all throughout Florida as well. Then you could also check the world out too and see what's happening there. So what we're doing today is we're just kind of going to talk about sustainability. Like I said, it is a weird time, but because some of us do have a little bit more free time than we are used to having, there are certain ways that we can start changing our everyday life that can have a really big impact. There are 7.8 billion people on this planet, and we need everyone to get on board with starting to change their daily lives in order for it to work. And it does work, it just takes some time. Because of the way society is today, we want instant results. And with conservation and things like that, it does take some time, but it does work. We just need everyone to get the information out, to get the information to you guys and to care. So living sustainably, especially now in the 21st century, it has gotten easier in some ways just because the information is more accessible to learn what you need to do and things like that. One of the biggest things that we can do right now is to eliminate our single-use plastics. So whenever we talk about Earth Day, we talk about saving the earth, the 3 R's come up: reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm going to cut that third R out because recycling is a little complicated. It is regulated locally, so each city, each municipality does something different than another one, just because of the infrastructure, resources, money, things like that. So recycling might not be an option. Some places recycle everything, some recycle some things, some places don't recycle at all. So that's why I'm going to cut out that third R and switch to refuse. So we're going to do reuse, reuse, and refuse. So especially refuse those single-use plastics. I know right now going to the grocery store, for health reasons, they are using those the plastic bags. And because of what's going on in the world right now, that's okay. But figure out a way to reuse those. So since I usually bring my reusable bags, but because that's not allowed right now, anytime I get a plastic bag, it comes back with me and it gets another usage. Whether it's lining my bathroom trash can, cleaning up cat litter. I was gonna say other things. So I have cats, so it's just scooping litter, using that as a trash bag. And I've actually started to compost. So instead of using one of my bowls, I actually just use a plastic bag, kind of put all of my daily compost in there, and then bring that out to my bigger compost bin. So that's another way to just kind of reuse those plastic bags. You could also bring them to Publix, the grocery store, or Target. They do recycle bags as well. So that's another great option to use. But just the other single-use plastics, so for us who are still doing takeaway and carry out, things like that, don't use those plastic utensils, don't accept the plastic straws, do whatever you can to eliminate those reusables. So in my bag of goodies, not every reusable bag comes with this, by the way. I'm having a lot of fun. So one of the biggest things, especially because we have a turtle here, plastic straws. I will argue that you do not need or most humans do not need a plastic straw. There are some cases where you do need it. And if you are drinking a milkshake or a smoothie, okay, you might need a straw. However, metal straws, bamboo straws, glass straws, silicone straws, those are great options. You buy them once, take them everywhere you go with you, use them over and over and over and over and over again, and you would never throw them out. A lot of them come with this really cool wire brush. I love smoothies, and sometimes the chunky chunks get stuck in the straw and could get gross and weird, but this just helps you clean it out so you can scrub the top, scrub the bottom, and voila, it's clean. Another thing that I use reusable cutlery. It's got this cute little package, nice cool carabiner that can clip onto my belt buckle or my backpack or wherever, and I bring it everywhere I go with me because I actually use it a lot more than I ever thought I would. And inside I have bamboo cutlery, which is really good because it's antibacterial, antifungal, all that good stuff. Bamboo is a great option to use. I have chopsticks for all the sushi that I eat. I don't. But I also have spoons for peanut butter mostly, forks for peanut butter mostly, and knives for peanut butter mostly. These are great options. Whenever I use them, I bring them home, I give them a wash, let them dry, stick them back in here. And I also actually tucked my straw in there too. I just took it out for fun. So this holds all of my reusable options. So whenever I'm out on a hike, if I'm out in public, not right now, but at one point I was, I would have this in my backpack, and if it was like, ooh, I got a snack, I'd pull this out, peanut butter, obviously the choice, and I would just use this. So it's a great option to have. It's really small, nice and compact. This is made by To Go Wear. They are a fantastic organization, really just about sustainability and things like that. Another option, reusable cups and water bottles. And the most important, a coffee cup. And the second most important, a coffee mug. So these are great options. You buy them once, use them over and over and over and over again, and it eliminates those single-use plastic water bottles. They come in all different sizes. This is 40 ounces. This is 64 ounces because we're in Florida. It's hot. I'm sweating. I need to stay hydrated. And then coffee because I would not function without it. So they make really cute ones, nature's themed, and these just help keep them hot. So it has that double insulation layer. So mine stays hot for, I'll say 9 hours. It used to be 12, but not anymore. And these supposedly keep it cool for 23 hours, but I don't believe that either because I think it's less than that. It's just hot in Florida. But these are great options because you buy them once and you'll just use them over and over and over again. If you were to use reusable coffee mugs, a lot of coffee shops will give you discounts. I think Starbucks does about 10 cents. There's a local coffee shop here that actually gives you 50 cents off, which is basically another shot of espresso, which I don't need, but hypothetically, if I wanted that second one, I would get it. So it's just a little way to kind of reward yourself for helping the planet. And these are, once you get a hold of these items, it's not that hard. The hardest thing is remembering to bring them with you to said coffee shop. But I usually leave one in my car, so in case I do forget, I'm like, woohoo, here's a cup, I can still get coffee. Because I will not buy things from a coffee shop or a juice bar or a smoothie bar unless I have my own cup. And that's just holding myself accountable because we all need to start making a change. Like I said, 7.8 billion people on this planet. We need every single one of us to get on board and start making changes. Another thing, when you're going to the grocery store, I'm going to call out my mom. Sorry, Mom. But she loves putting anything in those green produce bags. Bananas. I still argue with her on that one. But she actually got me these wonderful produce bags. They come in all different sizes. And again, they're reusable, so I'm never going to get rid of these. I bought them, well, she bought them once, and I'm just going to use them over and over and over again. So for her bananas, whenever she comes and visit, I'll put them in there for her. For your herbs and things like that, lettuce, all that good stuff. But again, they're just great options. They're easy to clean. They dry quick, all that good stuff. So I highly recommend investing in those. What else? This one. So another one, beeswax wrap. So trying to eliminate those single-use plastics and to eliminate saran wrap because why? These are a great option. You can actually make your own. I know a lot of libraries and different eco-friendly organizations, they have been running workshops, not right now, but at some point in time, they were running workshops where you could go and make your own beeswax wraps. They're also available on the internet because the internet does all the things. They come in all different sizes and they're easy to wash. They're easy to reuse. This is my little tiny one. Boom, boom, boom. So all different sizes. I have a lot of Pyrex Tupperware that I somehow lost the top to. So these are great for me because I could still use those Pyrex dishes, and if I want to save stuff for later, I could just put those over there and it keeps them fresh. And switching gears to Pyrex. So Tupperware, we love it. It helps keep our food fresh. If you can, switch to those glass ones, because if you were to heat this up in the microwave, space box, when you heat plastic up, some of those chemicals can leach into your food, and then that could have an effect on you. These glass ones are fantastic. They're nice and sturdy. You can freeze them, you can cool them. You can actually put these in the oven. Fun fact, they do not break. I learned that the other day, which was super exciting. But they're just great to have. And they have really nice containers at the tops that seal it and keep it nice and fresh. So definitely use these if you can. Let's see, what else is it? Oh, so many good things in here. It's like Christmas, but better. One of the huge things that contribute to a lot of plastics, microplastics in our water are clothing. So a lot of our clothing is synthesized from plastic. So if you think of workout leggings, things like that, that's polyester, which is derived from plastic. And when you wash them, those little fibers start to come off, called microplastics. Microplastics is in about every single water source we have on this planet. Not good, but there are some things that can actually help with that. So if you're washing your clothes, a lot of the newer washing machines do have the built-in kind of microplastics catcher, but it's called the Cora, C-O-R-A. So the Cora, you can put it in with your clothes, and it actually catches all of the microplastics that come, or microfibers that come off of your clothing during the wash cycle as it gets swished around. There are also wash bags that you can kind of throw all your clothes into, throw that into the washing machine, and then that will catch all the microplastics for you as well. When you throw them into the dryer, we all love dryer sheets because it smells great, keeps the static away. Dryer sheets are really bad for the environment, and they're not good for you either. As those dryer sheets are heated, they release carcinogens. You breathe those in, not fun for you. Fun fact, there you go, Taylor. So what we have, or what I have, what the world has, everyone has it if you want it. They have these wool balls that you could throw in the dryer. They help prevent that static. And you can spray them with essential oils. I'll give a shout out to my mom. I don't think she's watching, but she said she was going to try. But she did. She's making these small changes, and she actually bought these dryer balls for me. And she'll actually spray them with lavender essential oil and throw them in there so it gets her clothes nice and they smell good, and it keeps the static away. I know Marshall's has this 3-pack for, I want to say it's $5. So whenever they're open again, go check them out. So those are all how to kind of get rid of those single-use plastics, how to invest in more sustainable things. Like I kind of touched on with clothing, some clothing companies, they make not very high quality clothing, and it's very inexpensive for us to buy and then to produce, but those have a huge impact on our landfills. So those aren't really sustainable clothing. We throw about 25.4 billion pounds, that's a B, billion pounds of clothing out each year in America. That is insane. So some things that you guys could do, donate that clothing. Goodwill, Salvation Army, Big Brother, Big Sister. There are so many different organizations throughout Florida. There are a ton of those clothing bin drops. I'm going to shout out Davey because I know there's quite a few over there. They're white. There's one by the Costco parking lot. There's one right here in Hollywood, right off A1A, north of Dania Beach Boulevard, and there's one in between Dania Beach Boulevard and Sheridan. So there are fantastic options for that. So definitely try to do that instead of throwing your clothes out, because like I said, 25.4 billion pounds of clothes are thrown out every year. The fashion industry is one of the biggest wastes, but they are trying somewhat. There are also a bunch of organizations that are trying to bring awareness to sustainable clothing and just different sustainable goods. So there's this one organization called Done Good, D-O-N-E-G-O-O-D, and they kind of highlight all different things that are sustainable. They use recycled plastic water bottles to make clothing. They ship things responsibly as well. So definitely check them out. What was I going to say about them? It'll come back, squirrel. But that is another option to do. One thing that will actually have the largest impact of trying to save the planet is reducing your meat intake. So I'm not saying stop eating meat, because I know that kind of gets hairy, but meatless Mondays, that's a great thing to start with. So start with one meal that you don't have meat, or start with a whole day where you don't have meat, because it takes about 1,800 gallons of water for 1 pound of beef. Okay, that's a lot of water for 1 pound of beef. Most of the agriculture that we have here in the US is to grow food to feed our livestock. So those small changes, they will help your health, but they also will help the planet. Talking about fresh water, Earth 70% water, right? So we named it wrong already. It should be called ocean. But of that 70% water, 97% is fresh water, 3% is fresh water. Or sorry, 97 is salt water, 3% is fresh water. Now, of that 3% of fresh water, 1% is accessible for all humans, 7.8 plus billion people, and all the animals and all the plants on Earth. The other 1% is so far underground we cannot reach it, and then another percent is stored in our ice caps. So that is a limited resource in a way, but it is renewable if we are being responsible. That's one of the funky ones where it is it renewable? Is it non-renewable? If we are being conscientious of our water usage and taking care of it, yes, it is a renewable resource. All living things need water to survive. We need food, water, shelter. We'll go oxygen, not air, because ocean creatures. But that little changes to how we use our water will actually have a huge impact. When you're brushing your teeth, do you want to leave the water on or do you want to turn it off? Turn it off. You want to turn it off. You're scrubbing your teeth. You don't need the water to run. If you are washing dishes, do you want to run a dishwasher or wash them by hand? Full dishwasher. However, I don't have a dishwasher, so that's not an option for me. But what I do, I actually fill up my sink. I plug it up so it's like a mini bathtub. So I soapy soap all the things, clean them all up so my water is not running. And when I'm ready to do a rinse, I'll drain it, fill it back up again with water to rinse, and then pop it in the drying rack. That's one way I can limit my water usage. Another thing, when you're showering or when you're bathing, it's actually, so if we were to measure a 10-minute shower versus a bath, it's actually better to take a bath. A bath uses about 25 gallons of water because you plug up the bathtub, you fill up the water, and then once it reaches the top, you turn it off. Otherwise, it floods the bathroom, you get yelled at, it's not good from there. That 10-minute shower, it runs the whole 10 minutes. That 10-minute shower will use over 100 gallons of water, whereas that bath will use about 25 gallons of water. Now, hypothetically, you are a giant, you don't fit in the tub. What can you do? Not shower, duh. No, society doesn't like that. But what you can do, you can actually be mindful when you are using that water. So one thing I do, I actually bring my iPod in. I play one song. We'll go 2. So each song is about 3 minutes long. So I try to be done by that second song, so 6 minutes or less. And that is one way I can reduce my water. Another option you can do, you can turn the water on and off as you need. So turn it on, get your body wet, turn it off, soap, turn it on, rinse it off, turn the water off, turn it back on, shampoo, turn it off, all that stuff, right? So just confusing listening to me do that. I've tried to do that multiple times. Every time I've walked out of the shower, there has been soap somewhere that it should have been rinsed off. So that's not realistic for me, but the fact that I have a song or a timer, I know I can get out before then. I like to challenge myself. If I can get out before one song, I eat chocolate because I did a good job. I deserved it. Positive reinforcement. You got to do what you got to do. But these small little changes could have a huge impact, and they're just micro changes to our daily life. Like I said before, with sustainability, with conservation, it does take time. But in order for us to make a change, we need to know about it. So you need the information, and then you need to care about it. So once you have those two, you're going to be more willing to change. Because unfortunately, as humans, we just won't change until we have that emotional connection to something. We're going to switch gears a little bit because we have all this free time. We've all started these fun new hobbies, me included. And plants, right? Who doesn't love plants? So I've been trying to avoid humans all the time, not just now. I always try to avoid them. And man, the internet is it's full of little golden nuggets of knowledge and wisdom and helpful things. So what I started to do, I bought green onions about a month ago, woohoo, or scallions, depending on what you want to call them. And I had always heard, oh, you could always regrow them. I was like, no, I'll just buy a new one. That seems like a lot of effort. It's not. Look at this jar. This was yogurt. Shout out to GTs. They're not sponsoring us, but I wish they were. I used this once for my yogurt, and I actually save it, and I use it all the time. Right now, it's got a little bit of water and those scallions. So if you can see right here, the first time I used them, I cut them off right about there. I had a little bit of roots, and then I popped them in the water, and they are beginning to grow. You got to stick them in sunlight, too. I'm going to wait. This one's probably about to get planted. I have a lot of pots that are empty and they need new friends. But this is one way to just kind of keep regrowing those things over and over again. Perennial herbs, so mint, basil, cilantro. Debatable on that last one though, because I've had a lot of issues with cilantro. Oregano, things like that. If you were to get a clipping about 2 inches to 3 inches long, kind of like this one right here, if you were to put it in a cup of water and in some sunlight, because plants, sun, they go together. A couple weeks later, you'll start getting roots, a couple days later, you'll start getting roots. And then within a couple weeks, you can actually transplant it and put it in some soil and keep growing. So I actually have I had one plant prior to February. I now have 7. And it's just from buying mint or buying basil or buying cilantro somewhere, saving a clipping, putting it in water, and just letting it grow and then transplanting it. So there are small little changes that I can do that's actually having a big effect. So apparently I have a green thumb now. So I've been doing a lot of research of how I can keep my plants going, and then I can just never go in public again, because again, that's just how I roll. One of the things that you guys can do, because coffee fuels all of us, and I know it does, don't tell me it doesn't. Coffee grinds, once you use them, they save them. They're actually really good. They are full of minerals and nutrients that our soil needs. So a lot of magnesium is in this. So I actually have been saving my coffee grounds. This is just today. I'm just kidding. 3 days. So I'm saving my coffee grounds, and I am actually going to put it in my garden just to kind of help with that. Another thing that we can do is composting. Depending on where you are, it might be challenging, whether you live in an apartment, you might not have a backyard, whatever the thing is, but there are quite a few things that you can do. So if we compost, the biggest thing is that it eliminates what's going into the landfill, which will reduce our methane getting into the environment, which helps our planet keep it a little bit cooler. There are a lot of farmers, so if you go to a farmer's market, ask them, do they want compost? Because some farmers are actually, they will take your compost and they'll use it. So it's basically anything that was edible, so any of your vegetable scraps, any rinds, peels, things like that, but also coffee, tea, eggshells. That can all be composted as well, and even paper towels, paper coffee filters, things like that. That if it was natural at one point, it could probably be composted. A lot of cities do a citywide composting collection. St. Pete in Florida, they actually have these bins where you can fill out a paper, they'll give you a bin, you can compost. They will actually go around and collect your compost, and then they distribute it to local farms around them, just to kind of help farmers get those nutrients back into the soil. So it's a trial and error for me, mostly error, but how else do you learn other than messing up, right? But that is another thing we can do. So one easy thing that we could do as well, since we're all kind of home, since it's bright, sunny Florida, if you have a ton of windows, you don't need your lights on, right? You have a lot of natural lighting. So saving energy is a really simple way for us to limit our fossil fuel uses as well. So if you leave a room and you had the lights on when you're in the room, if you leave it, what are you hopefully doing with the lights? Turning them off. One thing that I didn't realize is that unplugged electronics actually uses a ton of energy if you were to calculate it over the year. So if you are not using an electronic for a day, a month, a couple weeks, however long, go ahead and unplug it. I actually, prior to about a week ago, I would just leave my phone charger in the wall all the time, whether it was charging or not. And I was reading up on it and just saying just learning how much energy it actually uses. Everything is unplugged in there right now, except for my salt lamp. Everything is unplugged just because I'm not in my apartment. I don't need to use it. My phone wasn't charging because my phone is somewhere in the abyss. But that is one simple thing. Not that hard to unplug something, but just remembering and getting into a routine of doing that. I do want to give a shout out to Lauren Singer, who is in charge of Package Free. This company is based in New York City. She was able to collect 4 years worth of plastic trash in a mason jar. And that was just her. She has an environmental background. She worked for DEP, and she wanted to make more of a change. She felt like she wasn't doing enough in the organization to have this big impact, because she knew what was happening in the world and what we need to do to get to where we need to go to help this planet. So she actually quit her job and she started this company. And within the last, let's say 6-ish years, they've really grown. But it's just different ways to educate people, to teach them, okay, like, you can do it. She lives in an apartment in New York City and she does all these things. A lot of it has to do with where you live. Can you go to the bulk stores and bring your containers to buy things like that? But if you are making an effort, if you're being conscientious of it, there's a huge difference that you can make. Check out her website. Like I said, it's package free. There's a ton of information, and she's actually even posting information about what we can do now with everything going on in the world. Obviously, eliminating everything and trying to go 180 to the green lifestyle is going to be a little bit challenging right now. But she does give you little tips, little cues. They have reusable bundles. They have reusable items for sale, things like that. But it's just a really good website to just get information on. That's where I've learned some of the stuff that I've been telling you about today. But just use the resources while we have. Since we do have a little bit more free time, now's the time to start doing all the things. Like I said, start those hobbies. I started painting. It's the worst for me. Patience and fine motor skills, 2 of my weaknesses. But Just wait. I'm coming for you, Da Vinci. No, I'm not. If anybody has any questions, please shoot a to the thing, and I will potentially answer it for you. Do I have to stay live for this?
I don't think so.
Right.
We only have a couple people wishing us a happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day, everyone! Like I said, let's save this planet. It is super magical. There are so many great things to see here, and I have been able to see some things that my parents and the parents before them have been able to see, but there are also some things that I have seen that I don't think generations behind me will be able to see. And until we start caring, until we start making these changes, it's not going to happen. But we want everyone to experience this magical Earth, so start doing our part. Like I said, it's going to be that ripple effect. It's going to take a while, hopefully not too long, but once we get all 7.8 billion people on board with a common goal to save this planet, it's going to happen. So thank you guys for checking us out. I hope you guys have a great Earth Day. It's also a new moon, which perfect timing for Earth Day. So go celebrate, save this Earth, do all the things, and we will talk to you soon.